Hello. I really don't know how to start these, and I just awkwardly say hello, and this is like the fourth try I'm having at this. So, just gonna say hello. I don't know who I'm talking to, but hi there. How you doing? Anyway, anybody who spent any amount of time with me knows one of my favorite paleo dishes is called Sukuma Wiki. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing it right. I don't know. My older roommate used to call it Hakuna Matata. But from what I've read, it's a Kenyan dish. Mostly refers to the collard greens that are in it, and then you do put other things. So for this purpose, this is what I mean by Sukuma Wiki. It's the dish with the collard greens and the ground meat and all of that, which you'll see. It's really easy, just a couple tips, and I am going to link the original recipe that I follow down in the comments, or in the description box, I should say. This is one of those recipes, it cooks really fast. You spend more time in prep than you do actually cooking, so you're going to want to have all of your ingredients cut, diced, prepped, whatever needs to be done with them before you actually start cooking. I always cook a double batch. Is meal prep. It's really good because it holds up for days. I actually used to have to cook a quadruple batch because I had people over all the time, and it's such like a crowd favorite that when I make it, I have so many people that want some. But these days I'm basically a hermit and nobody hangs out with me. So just make a double batch and I use it to take to work all week. So I'll go through what ingredients you need. There are a couple very slight alterations that I make to the recipe that I'm gonna link. And basically all that is, it calls for lemon juice. I use, for each portion of the batch, so since it's a double, I use half a lemon on each half and just squeeze the fresh juice. And I think I don't cook the tomatoes as long at the end, which none of this makes sense until you see the recipe. So I do make a couple little alterations, but other than that, I stay pretty true to the recipe, and you really want to follow the timing of this recipe. It'll be perfect every time if you do. So that's why you want to have everything measured and cut and all of that beforehand. So I'll go through all the ingredients, how much of each I have, because it is a double batch. And then there's nothing to cooking it, but I'll show you what I do. As far as ingredients go, this is actually a fairly cheap dinner to make, especially for how much it does make. The only thing that will be the initial expense is all of your spices. Some of them are common spices, but some of them aren't something that everybody's going to have on hand. So it does call for 8 spices: ginger, turmeric, cinnamon, coriander, cumin, fennel seed, salt, and pepper. But once you have your 8 spices, you're pretty set. Other than that, as far as your produce, you're going to need jalapenos, a white onion, garlic, a lemon, cherry tomatoes, and collard greens. When I make a double batch like this, I do use 2 bunches of collard greens, and I do get either 2 of the small containers, the little pint size of the tomatoes, or I get a larger one because I do like a lot of tomatoes in mine. Olive oil is another thing you're going to need, which most people probably already have on hand. And then as far as meat, I personally use the 80% lean, 20% fat ground beef because that's typically what's on sale and it has more flavor. If you want something a little lighter and you want to do a more lean cut, or if you want to do a ground turkey, that's also perfectly fine. Okay, so the onion you're just going to dice into coarse pieces. And since I do a double recipe, I normally separate things onto like 2 different plates to keep my portions correct. I think the original recipe calls for 1 jalapeno. I do put 3, and I usually just split it up evenly because I am using extra meat and extra collard greens. For garlic, it calls, I believe, for approximately 2 cloves per recipe, so I just doubled that up. Well, that's a lie. I have 5 here because 2 of these ones are small. I can count. Just FYI. Okay, as far as the cherry tomatoes, you're just gonna have them. I know for some people, they're really good at that, like stick them between two containers or plates or whatever trick. I am not that person. I've tried it with no success. So I just sit here and cut each one. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So prepping the greens is my least favorite part of the prep, and I don't know why it annoys me so much, but it does. So basically, I rinse the collard greens. They're in the strainer. I just bend them in half and tear that big seam out of the middle. That's going to get thrown away. And then I just rip them. You want them to be in about 1-inch pieces. So for my spices, I do separate them out as well so that, again, it's even distribution between the two pans because they do double up. I put them in these awesome little SpongeBob bowls, so be jealous. So there's 3 things that get a table or 1 full teaspoon, and that is the coriander, the salt. Oh, that was too much, so we'll just put that guy over there. If you didn't notice, there's basically nothing that I do as an exact science. The other one that's a full teaspoon is going to be the cumin. That's the ginger. Oh, that could have been bad. Okay, so everything else is going to be a half of a teaspoon. The ginger. The turmeric. Cinnamon, the pepper, and the fennel. I only have the whole seeds, so I do grind them. Things. And then I just split it as evenly as I can between the two. And then your spices are ready. Trying to get rid of that salt chunk in there. Okay, so the spices are done. Okay, the greens are done, so the only thing I have left to do is to have my lemon, and I have the juicer squeezer thing ready to go for when I need it, but we won't need this till the very end actually. Okay, since I'm doing a double batch, I have 2 pans going. I have them both at medium-high heat, and 1 tablespoon of oil in each, but I'm just going to focus on 1 pan for the video. Everything's timed very exactly, so I let the oil heat up for exactly 1 minute. So I just watch the clock the whole time. So as soon as the clock changes to that next minute, I'll throw in the next ingredient. After the oil heats for 1 minute, you add your onions, and you saute those for 4 minutes. The onion cooks for 4 minutes, then you add your jalapeno and garlic for a minute. Then add your ground meat to the pan. Pour your spices into it. And then just break it up, mix your spices in, and do that pretty much continuously while it browns. And it's going to take about 6 minutes for that to happen. Okay, so after about 6 minutes, the meat's cooked all the way through. You shouldn't really have any pink in there or anything. You're going to add the collard greens. And then I just kind of start trying to fold them under the meat so they can start wilting faster. And you're going to wilt these. I do about 4 minutes before I add anything else. After 4 minutes, you can see that the greens wilted down significantly. And then I just add my tomatoes. So after 4 minutes, you can see that the greens have reduced down and wilted down pretty significantly. So I add my tomatoes. I don't let the tomatoes cook for too long. I want to warm them without them becoming complete mush. And let me see if I can do this with one hand. I just take half my lemon and squeeze it into the pan. I'd say I cook this about 2 more minutes, maybe if that, and then it's done. Okay, so this is the finished product. It's quite a bit of food. As you can see, I got 2 pans the same size. The great thing about this is it is going to hold up really well when I divide it up and use it to take for lunch, and it reheats really well. Okay, so that's it. That is how you make my Sukuma Wiki. The recipe that I follow, it's from the Domestic Man. I'm going to link it down in the description box so that if you do want to have that visual instead of watching the video, you will have that available. If there's any questions you have, let me know. It's pretty simple. I hope I explained everything well and it wasn't totally nauseating watching my camera shaking all over the place. You know, it's just, I'm really professional and like I super have it together. I don't know what else to tell you. And you're back in the cupboard. That's apparently the kitchen filming place until this bitch can figure out how to get a tripod or something that's actually, you know, for what I'm trying to do here. All right, but yeah, any other recipes of mine that you would like me to make a video of, just let me know. Like I'm probably going to do my guacamole tabbouleh, kind of my things that are my standard. There is from the same person or the same site where I got the Sukuma Wiki recipe. There's another recipe that's Turkish with ground meat and eggplant and things that I did make some bigger tweaks to, but I do really like that one and haven't made it in a while. And I did notice today at Giant Eagle that eggplant is on sale and that's like a main ingredient. So maybe I'll get that one out in the next week or so if I end up making it. But yeah, any questions? Let me know.